Hello friends, and welcome to another episode. In today's project, I will be showing you how to make a vegan brownie that tastes and looks just as good as a regular brownie made with eggs and dairy. The full recipe for this will be in the description. Before we start, I will be using an egg replacer to bind the mixture together and give it some body and structure. The egg replacer I will be using is ground or milled flax seed. They are also known as linseeds. This is how it looks like. I managed to get this from Amazon. A link for this will be in the description. Let's start by measuring out 125 grams of room temperature water, and in it goes 60 grams of ground or milled flaxseed. What we want to do is let the flaxseed hydrate and absorb the water. Give that a whisk. The high protein in the flaxseed is what makes the water mixture thick, and that gives us what we want to support the rest of the mixture. Make sure that all the flaxseed is mixed in with the water, otherwise we will have dry parts and it will not mix properly later on. Put that to one side to rest for about 5 minutes. While the flax seeds are getting hydrated, you can get ready with your baking tray. Here I am using a baking tray with the length of 33 centimeters and the width of 23 centimeters. The height is about 3 centimeters. Spray the base of the baking tray with some oil. This will help me to stick the baking paper on. Cut the baking paper roughly the size of the baking tray. I cut slits on the corner to help me lay the baking paper when I press down. I also use a flat scraper to smoothen the baking paper out. Fold any extra paper, or you can just cut it off. There you go, perfectly smooth. You can of course use a different baking tray, just be careful with your oven timing. If the tray is smaller, just bake it for slightly maybe a little longer, and if your tray is flatter, perhaps a little less, as it can cook faster. In the meantime, set your oven to 175 degrees Celsius. After 5 minutes, it will look like soil, and that is what we want. Next thing we need to do is measure out 115 grams of vegan butter or vegetable spread into a small pot. Melt that slowly over the stove. What I do is to melt the butter about halfway and then whisk the rest so that the butter doesn't split and still maintains that emulsive look and creaminess. So the butter is just slightly warm but still in a liquid state. Next, grab yourself a large bowl. Make sure to scrape everything out. Pour in 200 grams of caster sugar and 220 grams of light brown sugar. Mix everything together. The reason I'm using two kinds of sugars is to give the brownie some character in flavor and texture. The light brown sugar gives it that extra hint of slight caramel, and the light brown sugar will help in the gooey-ness of the end product. After that, pour in 15 grams of vanilla essence and give everything a mix. Even though the base is chocolate, vanilla and chocolate are good friends, and vanilla helps to carry the chocolate flavor to another level. After you have incorporated everything together, you can go ahead and spoon the hydrated flax seeds in and give that a good mix. Don't hesitate to be a little rough with this. You can at this stage because you haven't added in the flour yet. When you add in the flour later, you have to mix it gently and as little as possible. After that, we can measure out the dry ingredients. Place a sieve on the top of a bowl and pour in 125 grams of plain or all-purpose flour, followed by 80 grams of cocoa powder, half a teaspoon of table salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Give that a shake. You might want to use a spatula to help with the lumps. Now, back onto the sugar mixture. Pour half of the sieved dry ingredients over the sugar mixture and gently mix. I start from the edge and I spin the bowl to help me get a good mix going. Give it a couple of swipes from the center to help it out. Once it is almost there, pour in the rest. I would advise to do this to avoid overmixing the brownie mix. If you wait until half the dry ingredients have been mixed in and then mix in the rest, you will have already overmixed the entire thing, and then the brownies will become cake-like. We don't want that. We want it nice and gooey. Notice how I still have some unmixed parts. That is totally fine, as when I spread the mix onto the baking tray later, it will all just come together. Take your baking tray and transfer all of the mixture onto the tray. I will be using a palette knife to spread the mixture evenly around. You can also use a spoon if you want to. Because I stuck the baking paper with oil just now, the paper doesn't move around when I spread the mixture. Turn the tray around if you need to make the spreading of the brownie mix easier. After you are done trying to spread the mix perfectly, take 100 grams of vegan dark chocolate and cut it into little pieces. Place the chocolate pieces into a pattern, or if you like, randomly all around. That is entirely up to you. Place it in your oven for about 15 minutes, 8 minutes, and then turn, and then for another 7 minutes. You will know when it's ready when you take a toothpick and you poke it in and it comes out almost clean. Take it out when it's almost clean because the brownie will still continue to cook while it's cooling down. Surprisingly, doesn't that look mighty sexy already? You will just have to wait now because it's still hot. Leave the brownie to cool for at least 1 hour. Take a cutting board and slide the brownie off. Cut a decent portion and try it out. Nice and cooked to perfection. It holds up its shape pretty well. Come on, who doesn't want a warm vegan brownie? It is gooey, warm, rich, slightly nutty from the flaxseed, a hint of caramel from the light brown sugar. I mean, it has everything you're looking for. That is so delicious. In fact, I'm going back for a second bite. Well, there you have it. A vegan brownie recipe made with flax seeds to be proud of. I bet if you don't tell people, they wouldn't guess there was no milk, butter, or eggs in this recipe. That's how good it is. Alright guys, I hope you have enjoyed this recipe as much as I have. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more videos coming in the future, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.